Hey guys, Dave Syvertsen here from Ourlads Scouting Services. I have for you the top 5 quarterbacks from the 2025 NFL Draft put together by the Ourlads scouting staff. We are going to start off with the consensus number one. We are in that consensus with Cam Ward from Miami, 6'2", 219 pounds. What I like most about Ward absolutely actually has nothing to do with what happens on the field initially. It's the fact that this kid was a 0-star recruit that came from a wing T offense in high school that kept on leveling up to Incarnate Word, then Washington State, and then Miami. And he goes up and he ends up as a Heisman finalist. And that's exactly what he's going to have to do in the NFL. He's going to have to level up and also increase his quality of play. What I don't necessarily love about Cam Ward and what's going to separate him from reaching that ceiling is the lackadaisical backyard football. This is what we saw in Caleb Williams last year. This is a JV version of Caleb Williams, not the same caliber, but I do think he's a very similar styled quarterback. What I love about his game, though, is he is a creator in every sense of the word with both his arms and his legs. Not the best athlete in the world, but he's very sturdy against contact and he's very slippery against a pass rush, and he is dangerous on the move. If Cam Ward can avoid missing layups and free throws, which we saw on tape, and stop making some of the boneheaded decisions that turned into turnovers. If he can get rid of those and be coached up under the right system, Cam Ward is absolutely capable of leading his team to a Super Bowl. Coming in at number 2 is Shedeur Sanders from Colorado, one of the more interesting evaluations I've ever done. This is a kid that started a lot of football games between Jackson State and Colorado. He turned around 2 programs. He's very used to the limelight. He carries himself well as being a leader of a football team, a face of a franchise. He knows how to handle the media. All that hoopla is great, but this kid is a football player. He knows ball. He works at his craft very well. You can see just in his simple mechanics with his footwork and his release, how consistent they are. And that is what leads to the best accuracy and ball placement of all the quarterbacks in this class. Whether you love or hate Sanders, whether you think he can start or not, whether you want to draft him in the first round or on day 2, there's no denying how accurate his arm is. And that is a trait that, if put into the right system, can do big things at the next level. What I need to see better in the NFL is his ability to avoid pressure. There's a slowness to his game that needs to get completely away from where he is at right now. He needs to improve his urgency and his twitch in that pocket. He's not a big, fast quarterback, so he needs to really put the time and effort into playing faster and staying on time and going through multiple reads without running backwards, because he doesn't have the athleticism and the strength to avoid hits. Coming in at number 3 is probably the most exciting quarterback on tape, but also a really wide spectrum. That is Jackson Dart from Mississippi, 6'2", 223, a really strong, compact build, another tough dude that will stare down the barrel of a gun before he throws that ball. He will give his receivers every opportunity to get through their breaks and get open before he throws the ball. He does not rush things. He is tremendous under pressure. And when I say pressure, I'm talking about the pass rush. If we took the 30 best throws of every top quarterback in this draft, I bet Jackson Dart has half of them himself. The spectrum is really wide, however. If you gave me the 30 worst throws on tape, the 30 worst decisions of all the quarterbacks, he may have half of those as well. For a 41-game starter, that does bother me. That does cause some hesitation. Lane Kiffin has yet to put a quality quarterback into the NFL, and that's the system in which he's coming from. But Jackson Dart, there are traits to him that scream NFL leader at the next level. He's a guy that I don't think should be rushed into action, but if he can clean up some of that decision-making and really know what he's seeing down the field, he's got the goods to be a starting quarterback at the NFL level. Next up is Jalen Milroe. By far, I would say the only quarterback in this class that has an electric trait. His electric trait is beneath the waist. He has legitimate Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick caliber running ability. And that tells me that if you can just get him to a 7 out of 10 passer, right now he's probably a 4 out of 10, but if you can just get him to a 7 out of 10 passer, he is a dangerous, explosive weapon in the NFL, and everyone is looking for the explosive. An overlooked trait of Jalen Milroe's game is how well he throws the ball downfield. He's done this since the start of his career. No quarterback in this class suffered from deep ball drops of 20-plus yards downfield than Jalen Milroe did this past year. He's got several throws on tape that if Alabama receivers did their job and came down with the ball, his numbers are completely different. And while you don't want to get too attached to numbers, Jalen Milroe is a downfield thrower. He is the most explosive quarterback in this class. The issues that come from his tape just come from very robotic, unnatural footwork. He doesn't look like a natural under center. He doesn't carry his athleticism to the footwork as a passer. It causes a lot of inaccurate throws. And there's the one thing that I think he needs to most work on is not staring down his target immediately post snap. He's a very easy quarterback to defend against. And we saw that on multiple occasions against Oklahoma, against Tennessee, and even at the Senior Bowl. So this is a guy that you're going to have to build your entire offense around, similar to what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson back in 2018, 2019, because it does take a couple of years to get that kind of personnel. But you keep him off the field in year one as a quarterback and use him as a wildcat quarterback as a part of your running game. And that's kind of why I like him. If Jalen Milroe does not work out at quarterback, he can still help your team because he immediately becomes one of the most explosive players in the NFL. Coming in at number 5 is Will Howard from Ohio State. The ascent to where he is right now, it was a very slow drip. He lost his job multiple times to Kansas State quarterbacks Skylar Thompson and Adrian Martinez. Then he put together a solid year on tape in 2023. He transfers to Ohio State in 2024, surrounded by NFL talent. Didn't get off to a hot start, but there wasn't a quarterback that ended with more momentum than Will Howard. It's one of the biggest, more physical bodies at quarterback in this class. He measured in at 6'4", 236. That's the one area where Josh Allen's name can be mentioned in the same sentence as Will Howard. He's big, he's physical, he breaks a lot of tackles. He's a better athlete than you think. But I do have questions about his pure arm talent. He pushes and aims the ball a lot more than he actually throws the ball. He benefited from a lot of talent around him at Ohio State, but there's something to be said for how the fact that he ascended down the stretch during the playoffs in the national championship game. Those were the best tapes I saw of Will Howard against his best competition with the most pressure on him. That shows me something that can translate to the next level. At the very least, you feel really good about Will Howard being a backup quarterback in your room next year. The one name that's in that day 3 tier, he's not in the top 5, but I personally think that he should be giving a shot at some point. It's Quinn Ewers from Texas. And I have a hard time saying it, trust me, because in 2024, he went backwards from what we saw in 2023. But there's still enough arm talent and there's still enough throws and manipulation of the football that if he gets put into the right system, a Shanahan, a McVay, an O'Connell, I think he can be a starting quarterback at the next level. There are questions about his durability. He missed multiple games every year of his career at Texas. He ran away from Ohio State after losing that job. There were some maturity questions about him early on. But there's a reason why he was the number 1 overall recruit out of high school. His arm talent is next level. He could spin it as well as anyone. He's got great ball handling. And some of his best throws in that short to intermediate part of that route tree where NFL teams are living right now because they can't get the ball downfield as often. Quinn Ewers has some of the best throws on tape in this entire class. It just wasn't consistent. He tried to put too much on his shoulders this past year. But I think he's a big reason why Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell went pretty high in the draft last year. It was Quinn Ewers, not those guys. So that's the sleeper I want you guys to keep an eye on day 3. That's it for the top 5 quarterbacks, plus a sleeper from the 2025 NFL draft.